If I told you that a man you watched get buried, a man whose funeral you attended, a man whose mother collapsed beside his coffin, walked up to you one day and calmly asked, "Hey, can you cover my shift tonight?" you would assume I was joking or losing my mind. But this actually happened to me, and the scariest part is not that he came back. It is that according to my company's official records, he never died at all. My name is Adam, and I work at a distribution warehouse in Ohio, the kind of place where the lights are always too bright, the walls are always gray, and time seems to move slower than it should, where people look exhausted even when the day is just beginning. That is where I met Eric, a quiet guy in his mid-30s who arrived early every day, spoke softly, ate the same sandwich during every break, and never complained about anything. Not the type of person who stands out loudly, but the type whose absence feels heavy when they are suddenly gone. One night during a late shift, alarms exploded near the conveyor belts, and everyone ran toward the noise. And there Eric was on the floor, barely bleeding but twisted in a way no living body should be. And later our supervisor gathered us together and said only 3 words. He didn't make it. 3 days after that, I stood at his funeral, saw his face resting unnaturally still, heard his mother cry until her voice gave out, and watched the coffin close, believing with complete certainty that this was the final moment of Eric's story. And like everything else in corporate life, the company replaced him, cleared his locker, erased his name from the schedule, and moved forward as if nothing had happened. 22 days later, I walked into work for my morning shift, scanned my badge, and saw 2 names flash on the clock-in screen, mine and his. And while I was still convincing myself it was just a software glitch, familiar voice spoke from behind me, calm and casual. "Man, you're late again." And when I turned around, Eric was standing there alive, breathing, looking at me like nothing had ever happened. He looked exactly the same jacket, the same tired eyes, the same faint scar near his eyebrow. And for a few seconds, my brain refused to process what I was seeing, like a broken computer trying to load an impossible file. And I asked him how he was here, where he had been, why everyone said he was dead. But he just laughed lightly and said, I worried too much and that he had been working the night shifts all month. Then he walked past me and clocked in, and the machine accepted his card like it always had. I went straight to my supervisor, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone, and told him Eric was back, standing on the floor, working like nothing happened. And my supervisor frowned and told me Eric had never stopped working, that he had perfect attendance, that his payroll records showed uninterrupted shifts. And when I insisted I went to his funeral, the supervisor quietly suggested I take a few days off because stress can do strange things to people. I checked the company system myself. His name was everywhere, in schedules, in payroll, in internal messages, as if death had never touched him. And when I asked other co-workers, some said they never attended a funeral, some said they barely knew him, and a few looked at me like I had just described a dream instead of a memory. That night I stayed late and watched Eric from a distance, noticing small things that made my stomach tighten. How he never ate anymore, how he never used his phone, how he stood perfectly still between tasks, staring at nothing for long seconds. And when I checked the security room, the cameras showed his workstation active, his tools moving, but his body slightly blurred, like a reflection on dirty glass. And suddenly, I understood that whatever was walking and working out there might look like Eric, but it was following rules written somewhere far deeper than the employee handbook. The next morning, I found an envelope inside my locker with my name typed on the front, and inside was a single sheet of paper titled Schedule Adjustment Notice, thanking me for my service and informing me that my position would soon be filled. And at the bottom was my employee number listed under inactive staff, the same status Eric should have had. And when I looked around the warehouse floor, I noticed something I had somehow ignored before. Dozens of workers who never spoke, never ate, never aged, faces that looked slightly wrong, movements that were almost human but not quite, all clocking in perfectly, all working endlessly, all replacing someone who had once stood where I was standing now. Eric met my eyes from across the room, gave me the same polite smile he always had, and nodded toward the exit. Not threatening, not angry, just calm, as if explaining a simple rule of the universe, that people leave and the system keeps going. And I realized the truth was not that he came back from death, but that the company never lets anyone truly leave. Because when a worker disappears, something else quietly takes their place, wears their face, does their job, and makes sure the machines never stop. I walked out of that building and never returned, changed my name, moved states, erased every trace of my employment. But sometimes at night, my phone lights up with a notification from an unknown number that simply says, "You're late again." And I understand now that in some system, somewhere I am still clocked in, still scheduled, world still working, even if I never step inside that building again.